Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
That's the big news that's coming in there. Well, Piyush Goyal is saying that yes, you can go ahead and coal can be mined commercially as well. So, as of now, you have coal that is mined and it's used captively. Let's understand the implications of this. We have with us Mr. Ashok Khurana of the Association of Power Producers who joins in. Hi, Mr. Khurana. Thanks so much, sir, for joining in. Your first take on this: the cabinet has approved the auction of coal mines for private sector operators with regard to commercial mining. We've heard this in the past as well. Now we're saying that it has been approved. Your first take on it?
Well, looking at the emerging coal shortages from CIL and the fact that they have not been able to meet the annual contracted quantities, the concluded FSAs, it's a very welcome step. We only hope that the conditions, the government will learn from the earlier auctions and make the regulations and the conditions for auction conducive to creating a win-win situation for both industry and government.
All right.
Because, in win-lose game, any reform, any auction like earlier one is not likely to be sustainable.
Okay. Well, Mr. Khurana, I just wanted to point out a couple of things. India had commercial coal mining till 1974. In 1974, a major mine tragedy, which goes down as one of the darkest periods of Indian, economic history, as the Chasnala mine tragedy, where thousands of workers got trapped in underground coal mines and died, led to the nationalization of all coal mines. I'm just giving you this backdrop because all future mining will come with very stiff labor safety standards for sure. The reason why Coal India was created and made the monopoly owner of all coal mines in India. So that angle needs to be, why we went away from commercial coal mining is something we have to keep on board. It was a national cry. It was a national shame at that time, and that's why those mines had to be nationalized. Mr. Khurana, at the moment, Coal India and the railways are just about coordinating, and we are seeing a little bit of efficiency in the movement of coal. Now with commercial coal mining, do you think we are going to see fresh problems in terms of the way in which it will be distributed? A new set of relationships will have to be worked. How do you see all this evolving?
My idea is the coal supply and its transportation. Presently, both are running on the best effort level. They would move to the commercial side, like the international world, where there would be the FSAs to be enforceable. So if the coal supplier cannot supply, he pays for it, and you don't off-take, you pay for it, and same is for transportation.
Yes, sir.
Actually, so this ad hocism has to go away.
Yes, Mr. Khurana, actually, we have the man who has been there and seen it all. Mr. Partha Bhattacharya, the former chairman of Coal India, is with us. Mr. Bhattacharya, you were the first one who brought Coal India, of course, to the market as a listed stock. You have seen the previous times as well. Just stay on with us, sir. We also have Anil Agarwal, the chairman of Vedanta, with us. Do stay on, Mr. Bhattacharya. Mr. Agarwal, your thoughts? You will be throwing your hat in the ring now that coal mining is becoming commercial?
Mr. Agarwal, I'm not sure whether our voice is reaching you, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, Mr. Agarwal, the question that we're putting forth to you is that, coal mining, commercial coal mining has got a step in the right direction. It's got an approval coming in from the cabinet. You would be throwing your hat in here, sir. You've mentioned in the past that you would be interested in commercial mining. Your first take on this?
Yeah, this is the very bold and the very encouraging step what government has done. This will definitely change the facade because the phenomenal, but only one company, Coal India, which is doing very well, but we need more company, more exploration. So this will bring, I'm looking forward the foreign players to come and because it requires huge investment.
Yeah, but you expect it to be, you expect it to be attractive to the BHP bulletins and all that? You expect this to be, to attract multinationals, Mr. Agarwal?
I'm hoping that happens because government should leave the revenue minded, should be go away, and it should be more of the production minded.
Mr. Agarwal, would you
revenue minded? Yeah.
Right. Mr. Agarwal, do you think, like in the past, we have had conversations and you have specifically stated that Vedanta is in various resources and coal is something that you will want to get into commercial mining if India opens it up. How right now interested are you in coal mining in India at this point, and how much of a kitty really can you really assure to this particular bit, because it could be competitive in nature if these coal mines come up for auction?
Yeah, India has probably third, fourth largest reserve of the world. And it is to eradicate poverty, create phenomenal jobs, because the kind of jobs will be created in this will be phenomenal. And I'm only looking in India, the large resource company has not come because they always said it's very difficult to do businesses in India.
Okay.
This government which is developing the ease of doing business and coming out of this kind of option and this kind of openness for commercial mining is a very big step. Yeah. And I'm looking forward. Vedanta will definitely be very keen. As you know, that I have taken a 21% stake into the Anglo-American, which is one of the largest coal producers in the world.
That's
and
why.
I will be very keen to participate. But more and more, I'm looking for Indian purpose to. It's one thing I'm again and again saying, government has to come out of the revenue mandate and to go on the production mandate. Because if the trade competition and the revenue goes 80-90%, then it will never be open.
Okay, Mr. Agarwal,
make sure that,
no, actually, we have you on an unclear line. We'll do one thing, we'll reconnect with you. But I take your point that, the government shouldn't be revenue-minded, but should be productivity-minded. That exactly is the question I want to take to Mr. Partha Bhattacharya. Mr. Bhattacharya, you tell us, commercial coal mining is back. Your first thoughts.
Basically, this was long pending, but the fact that the government has opened it up is a step in the right direction. You see, Coal India may be doing its job well, but at the same time, India is not a country of a size that can depend on only one company for supplying its coal. Now, if you look at the largest Chinese company which produces and supplies coal in China, it has a share of 9%, and Coal India has a share of 80%.
Okay.
So it is absolutely unthinkable that you depend on one company for meeting the needs of everybody in the country, and therefore hiccups are likely to happen. And at the same time, you see, Coal India is not facing any kind of competition. So whatever improvement in efficiency or operating improvements are required to happen, that will happen in a company only when there is competition around. That competition.
But Mr. Bhattacharya, the commercial coal mining is also coming at a time when coal has become a bit of a dirty word. I mean, we are moving into renewables, and a city like Delhi, and why any other Indian city, is actually suffering under serious pollution issues. Of course, thermal power only contributes part of it. There are a whole host of other reasons, from crops to cars, that will be contributing. But nevertheless, do you see a lot of interest, considering the historical time when it is coming, when coal is not the black gold it was maybe, say, 5 decades ago?
You see, the point is that even at the most pessimistic estimate of growth in coal production pegs the figure at around 1,300 million tons in 2030, which is about 60% more than what it is currently. So growth in coal production will continue for at least 2 more decades, whatever said and done.
Okay.
Because coal is still 80% of power generation. It can at best go down to 75%, but nothing more than that. So coal will remain at the center stage for quite some time.
What about Coal India? Will it be able to weather the competition?
They will have to. I mean, they will have to weather the competition, but I think it will make Coal India more efficient. And overall, a sense of competition in the market will come. The market should become more matured. But that depends upon the terms on which the coal blocks will be auctioned.
Okay.
And I completely agree with Mr. Agarwal that it should not be revenue maximization. It should be basically the core competence in mining. That should be given a lot of weightage while deciding who should get the commercial mining.
Actually, if you can elaborate on that, that was going to be my next question to Mr. Agarwal, but it was an unclear line. How do you ensure that it is not revenue maximization, but more productivity parameters? How does one ensure that?
First critical factor is the size of the block that is going to be auctioned. Okay. It cannot be the small blocks which are awarded to these captive end users, because there the requirement is only for the end-use plant, which is 2, 3, 5, 4, 5 million tons. A commercial coal mining to succeed has to basically produce something like 40, 50 million tons per annum, and for a period of 30 years.
Yes.
So therefore, the block size should be 1.5 to 2 billion tons at the minimum. And that can happen only if the small blocks which were created artificially for allotment to the captive end users are merged again and large blocks are created. That is number one. Number two, you can find large blocks. Even now the deposits are there which has not been converted into blocks. Those should be converted only into large blocks, not artificially divided into smaller blocks. That is number one. Number two, when you do the bidding, there has to be a lot of weightage and points which is attributable to core competence in mining, and particularly the kind of mining technology that is required to develop that block into completion. Somebody should have experience in that kind of mining.
So
only then he should be entitled to get the block. And then you can combine it with price. You can have a QCBS kind of a model, quality and cost-based system to decide who the... It's a very transparent system, but at the same time doesn't place all the focus on revenue maximization. So something like that needs to be thought of.
Fair enough.
And if it goes to the right people, I'm quite sure that commercial mining will succeed. It should be about, say, something like 200 to 300 million tons of coal if it is produced in the commercial mining sector. That would give Coal India a good competition. Mature markets will be created.
Right. Mr. Bhattacharya, this is Nisha Podar. So we have in the past talked at length about the monopolistic environment that Coal India really operates in. Help us understand very briefly, how will it change the dynamics on coal front as far as also the pricing is concerned? Availability and efficiency, yes, assured, but there could be competitive pricing, and how will you give a level playing field to the now private commercial miners compared to what Coal India gets at this point?
See, very fortunately, as far as pricing is concerned, Coal India has not used its monopoly powers. If you look at the coal prices in India, it has been always consistently running at a discount to international prices. And even today, the discount continues to be there. Because Coal India's pricing policy is based on recovery of cost, and in open cast mining, they have been reasonably efficient, so the cost is not that much. And as a result, they could maintain the price at lower than the international level. I guess that since coal is basically a commodity and it is a traded commodity, even India is the second largest importer of coal in the world today. So therefore, the coal prices will more tend towards international prices, and that is higher than what the coal prices notified by Coal India is. So therefore, Coal India's competitive situation as far as pricing is concerned is not going to be too much affected.
Fair point, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bhattacharya. Thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Anil Razdan, the former Power Secretary of Government of India, is also with us. Mr. Razdan, thanks for joining. Is this coming at a kind of an wrong time, as it were? The country is supposedly power surplus. Power companies are running at 60% PLF. We spoke to the current Power Secretary just about 2 hours back. 60% PLF is all that they are operating in. Do you think commercial mining is immediately going to make a big difference if power companies are anyway not finding buyers?
No, I think, it is good that government has gone in for commercial mining. For one reason, that there ought to be competition in the market, because there are complaints of quality, quantity of supply, etc. So while you say that the PLF is 60%, at the same time, we must realize that a lot of thermal power stations are running very low on coal. In fact, probably the more efficient ones are running low on coal. It could be because of some issues relating to supply contracts, long-term supply agreements, because when you are with the government system and straight jackets you to something, though there is an e-auction also available, but I was interacting with a few just during this week, and they are experiencing coal shortage. So it's high time we got into it. This business of captive mining, etc., is not really workable. And this will, number one, create competition for Coal India. Number two, it will create more availability, and hopefully, better customer care will come. But I think this also brings in the concept of a coal regulator, which has been
one of the
floating around as a cabinet note for almost a decade now. I recollect when I was Power Secretary, proposal had come for comments.
Yeah.
So we should go in for a coal regulator, and I think it is in the overall interest of the coal sector in the country, because when we are pitching a high target also for production of coal in the country, you could even be exporting coal in the future.
Sure.
Because as I was just hearing Mr. Partha Bhattacharya, you see the international coal prices are going up.
Yes.
And coal mining could well be a revenue earning proposition for export
Sure, sir.
in the times to come.
Okay, Mr. Razdan, thank you very much for those quick comments. Piyush Goyal has just announced it, and I guess we will know what the modalities will be and what the timetable will be in the days to come. As he says, the revenue is really going to the states and not to the center. It's a great beginning. All that one can say is that it is coming at a time when power companies are not really dying for coal because demand is still tepid for power. And coal itself as a fuel has kind of fallen in the esteem, fallen in importance because of the environmental problems that countries are facing. But nevertheless, it's a very big step in
It's a new business opening for the private companies also when it comes to commercial mining of coal. So that's something that companies like Vedanta have been vying. So from that respect, policy decision-wise, in terms of the coal sector, it is a path-breaking move, but no immediate impact on the companies as such, because it will take its own time.
No, not on power companies, not on coal companies just yet, but I would expect that all the militants of the world and the BHPs will be interested in coming in. It's probably the 2019 story.
Absolutely. Lata, just to keep things very, very simple, it's a step in the right direction. That's precisely what's going to happen. Going ahead, if we get interest based on the conditions that are laid forward, then you'll have all the big names coming in here. They'll come to mine coal. They'll mine more coal. That'll end the Coal India monopoly. But most important is, how do you generate that kind of appetite? How do you invite these foreign bidders? There are various people who have said, yes, we are interested in coming and mining coal in India. But based on the conditions, what are the conditions? How do you pull them into the country? That's very, very important. And Coal India is at the high point of the day. If there was a belief that in fact that this entire monopoly is going to end, etc., then in fact Coal India would have come off the high point of the day. The point that Coal India is at the high point of the day is why Q4 is going to be the best ever. And keep
this
in
is
mind,
a distant long-term
positive
challenge.
step in the right direction. It's a long-term positive. And also remember, at some point of time, the government of India would like to sell some part of Coal India, given that things are going to look so good in the fourth quarter as well. So we're waiting by. But I think we've gone on for a goodish bit on that. We'll wrap up on the show. You stay with us. We'll continue covering the markets on the other side.